Before the great cities awaken, before the sound of traders and caravans fills the air, there is a moment of deep stillness along the ancient Silk Road. The horizon glows with the first faint colors of dawn, a soft gradient of pale rose, gold, and blue. The desert night slowly releases its hold on the world, giving way to the warmth of morning. You find yourself standing at the edge of a caravanserai, a fortified resting place for travelers. Its high clay walls hold the coolness of the night, and the heavy wooden gates are still closed. Beyond them, the vast landscape stretches far into the early light. Low hills cast long shadows, and a thin veil of desert mist rises in soft, drifting waves. The air is cool, almost cold, but perfectly still. You can hear only the faint sounds of animals waking, the shuffle of camels adjusting their saddles, the light snorts of horses, and the quiet bleating of goats tied near the gate. Their sounds echo gently against the stone walls, then fade into the open silence. A single star remains above the horizon, shimmering faintly before disappearing into the softening sky. The world feels paused, as if all of history is holding its breath. Slowly, the great wooden doors of the caravanserai open. A guard steps out, wrapped in wool, his face calm and half covered against the cold morning air. He pulls the doors open farther, allowing the first warm rays of sunlight to spill across the courtyard. Inside, the caravan awakens. A group of merchants gathers near a low stone fire pit, where glowing embers warm a pot of tea. Clay cups sit neatly arranged nearby. The men speak in low voices, discussing routes, weather, and the road ahead. Some are from Persia, their robes long and decorated with intricate patterns. Others come from the far cities of the east, carrying lacquered chests wrapped in silk cords. The Silk Road has brought them all together, each with stories, hopes, and destinations that stretch thousands of miles in every direction. Nearby, camel handlers adjust the ropes and packs on their animals. The camels lift their heads slowly, blinking with long lashes as the morning light touches them. Their saddlebags are filled with fabrics, spices, carved ivory, medicines, scrolls, and small treasures, meant to be traded from one end of the world to the other. The smell of fresh bread rises from a small oven near the corner of the courtyard. A young boy removes round flat loaves, placing them on a cloth to cool. Their warm, earthy scent mixes with the faint aroma of tea and the dry, comforting smell of desert sand. The sky brightens further, and with it comes the first warmth of the day. The cold air begins to soften, shadows shrink gently. The dunes and rocky ground shimmer with golden light. A light breeze moves through the silk banners hanging above the entrance. They flutter softly, their colors glowing like precious stones in the sunlight. Reds, blues, golds, and greens. Fabrics dyed with minerals, plants, and rare pigments carried from faraway lands. The merchants finish their tea. The camels are ready. The final preparations for departure are quiet and calm. This is not a hurried journey. The Silk Road is far too long for haste. At last, the caravan leader raises his hand. A tall, steady man with sun-darkened skin and a calm gaze. He says nothing. His gesture alone is enough. The caravan begins to move. The first camels walk through the open gate, their footsteps soft against the sand. The merchants follow, their robes shifting in the warm breeze. The sound of movement is peaceful, rhythmic, bells on the camels' necks ringing gently in harmony with the morning wind. As you step forward and join them, the golden light washes over you. The sky is now fully awake. The Silk Road lies ahead, timeless, ancient, filled with endless stories waiting to unfold. You walk forward into the rising sun. A new journey begins. The caravan moves slowly at first, allowing every traveler, every animal, and every wagon to settle into a steady rhythm. The early morning sun spreads across the desert in long, warm rays, casting gentle golden tones on the sand. The world seems endless in every direction, soft and open, shaped only by dunes, distant hills, and the thin white ribbon of the ancient road itself. The sound of travel is calm and almost musical. The steady thump of hooves, the soft sway of camel saddles, the gentle jingle of brass bells tied to their harnesses. Traders walk beside their animals, speaking quietly, their voices blending with the wind. Nothing is rushed. Every step taken is deliberate, shaped by centuries of caravans that came before. As you walk, the faint smell of spices drifts from the packs. Cinnamon, pepper, cardamom, cloves, even sealed tightly in clay jars and wrapped in cloth, their aromas seep through and mingle with the desert air. Each scent carries a story from a distant land. The morning warmth grows stronger, but the wind remains cool. The path ahead opens into a broad valley with dry grasses waving gently in the breeze. In the far distance, you can see a group of travelers moving toward your caravan from the opposite direction, another merchant line returning from a different part of the Silk Road. Their silhouettes shimmer slightly in the rising heat. As the two caravans approach each other, both groups slow their pace out of respect. A universal rule of the Silk Road. Travelers share information. They stop side by side, and their animals rest in the warm sand. The oldest member of the returning caravan steps forward. His beard is long and gray, and his clothing is layered from years of travel. His eyes are kind but tired, shaped by thousands of miles on foot. He greets your caravan leader with warmth and familiarity, as if all who travel this road are part of one great family. Their conversation is quiet and steady. River crossings ahead are shallow, the older man says. Bandits spotted near the northern cliffs, another adds. The weather has been calm. No storms in the last week. These small pieces of knowledge shared in moments like this often mean the difference between safety and danger. Caravans survive because they communicate. A young boy from the returning caravan offers a small clay jug of water. Your caravan leader accepts it with gratitude. In return, one of your merchants gives a piece of flatbread wrapped in cloth. There is no transaction here, only kindness between travelers on the same ancient road. After a few minutes, both groups bow lightly to each other. The returning caravan continues toward the west, their footsteps fading gently behind you. Your caravan resumes its journey toward the rising sun. The path now leads through a narrow pass between two rocky hills. The air becomes cooler in the shade. The stones here are sharp and pale, and small desert flowers peek between the cracks, their colors soft and delicate. Yellow, violet, white. Their presence feels almost magical in such a dry land. As you walk through the pass, you notice small carvings on the rocks. Travelers from long ago left symbols, simple figures, spirals, stars, markings of different cultures. Some show animals, some show hands. Others show patterns that seem to drift and twist with ancient meaning. These carvings remind you that people have walked this same path for thousands of years. On the other side of the pass, the land opens once more. A wide plain stretches out, dotted with shrubs and lone acacia trees, spreading their umbrella-like branches toward the sky. The wind carries fine sand across the ground in shimmering waves. A merchant at your side speaks softly. This land never changes. It watches us come and go, just as it watched those who came before. His voice carries the weight of truth. The Silk Road is more than a route. It is a living thread connecting countless lives and stories. The caravan pauses near a natural rock shelf, providing shade. This is a short rest to drink water, tie ropes, and check the animals' saddles. A few traders sit and look out over the plain in silence. The stillness of the desert is calming, deep, ancient, almost sacred. When the rest is finished, the caravan rises and continues its steady pace. The sun climbs higher, and the road stretches forward, bright and shimmering. The Silk Road is awake, and the true journey has only just begun. By midday, the heat begins to settle over the desert like a slow, gentle blanket. The sky turns a deeper shade of blue, and the sunlight glows intensely across the open plain. The caravan's pace softens, not from fatigue, but from tradition. No one rushes during the warmest hours of the day. The Silk Road moves at its own rhythm, shaped by sun, wind, and ancient wisdom. Far ahead, you begin to see something shimmering in the distance, a faint cluster of shapes rising out of the desert. At first, it looks like a mirage, another illusion of heat. But as the caravan approaches, the shapes grow clearer. A small oasis town surrounded by palm trees and low mud brick buildings. A band of deep green cuts across the sand, where the oasis water flows close to the surface. The closer you get, the more you can hear the distant sounds of life. Soft conversations, animals moving, the splash of water. The oasis air feels cooler, touched by the shade of hundreds of date palms. A narrow gate marks the entrance to the town. Above it hangs a woven banner decorated with patterns from both Eastern and Western cultures, a symbol of unity created by generations of merchants who passed through. As you enter, the temperature drops noticeably. The shade of the palms filters the sunlight into gentle dancing patterns on the sandy ground. Inside, the oasis is calm but lively. Small markets line the path. Cloth stalls, potters shaping clay vessels, women weaving bright fabrics, men carving wooden boxes and small ornaments. Wisps of smoke drift upward from cooking fires, carrying the scent of roasted grains and warm spices. The caravan breaks into smaller groups. Some merchants head directly toward the water source, a deep pool with clear, cool water fed by underground streams. Camels kneel beside it, drinking slowly and stretching their long necks toward the surface. The ripples they make spread outward in long, soft rings. You move toward the shaded edge of the pool, where reeds rustle gently in the breeze. A boy sits nearby washing a small bundle of herbs in a clay bowl. He smiles quietly as you pass. His family is likely one of the groups that tends the oasis, keeping the water clean and welcoming for travelers. Further ahead, a group of elderly men sits beneath a pergola woven with palm branches. They are storytellers, keepers of local memory. Travelers gather around them, listening to tales of storms that reshaped the land, caravans that passed through generations ago, and journeys that stretched far beyond the horizon. Their voices are low and slow, like the movement of time itself. A young merchant from your caravan sits with them, offering dried apricots in exchange for a story. One of the elders begins speaking. This oasis has seen travelers from all corners of the world. Silk from the east, gold from the south, amber from the north, and glass from the west. But no matter where the merchants come from, they all drink from the same water and rest under the same trees. His words feel timeless, a reminder that the Silk Road is not just a pathway for goods, but for shared humanity. In another corner of the town, a group of artisans works around a shaded workshop. They carve small decorative boxes, shape pottery, and prepare lacquered items imported from distant lands. The rhythmic tapping of their tools blends with the rustle of palm leaves and the quiet dialogue between craftsmen. Merchants sit near the workshop, examining items brought from afar. One examines a bolt of fine silk shimmering in the shade. Another considers a small carved ivory figure. Bargaining is gentle here, respectful, calm, almost ritualistic. Every trade has a story, and value is measured not only in coins, but in journey, effort, and trust. As midday deepens, the oasis grows even quieter. The wind slows. The shadows lengthen across the bright sand. Most travelers rest under trees or inside cool mud brick rooms, waiting for the heat to soften. You find a seat beneath a palm, leaning back against the rough texture of the trunk. The breeze touches your face lightly. You hear the distant trickle of water and the soft humming of insects hidden in the reeds. A sense of safety settles around you. The feeling that, for a moment, the long road has paused. After some time, the caravan leader calls for preparation. The merchants gather near the pool, filling water skins and washing dust from their hands. Camels rise slowly, stretching their long legs. Packs are tightened, ropes checked, and the final trades are completed. The oasis returns to its usual rhythm. Another caravan has rested, refreshed, and is now ready to continue its journey across the ancient road. As you step out through the gate and back into the sunlight, you take one last look at the green trees swaying gently in the hot breeze. The oasis fades behind you, becoming a small cluster of color surrounded by endless sand. The silk road stretches forward once again, bright, gold, and open beneath the vast sky. The caravan settles back into its gentle rhythm, and with each step, the desert softens into distant hills. As the heat slowly begins to lift, the land ahead transforms, revealing the next chapter of this ancient journey. The caravan now climbs toward the foothills of a vast mountain range. The road narrows as the ground becomes firmer underfoot. Scattered rocks crunch under the hooves of camels, and the wind sharpens slightly, carrying the cool scent of stone and high places. Behind you, the desert glows under the afternoon sun, shimmering like a golden sea fading into the horizon. The first shadows of the mountains stretch long across the earth. They move slowly, like dark fingers reaching outward. The merchants draw their cloaks tighter around themselves as the warm desert air begins to shift into a colder, crisper breeze. A narrow trail winds upward, carved by countless caravans that traveled here over centuries. Stone markers line the path in some places, simple piles of rocks set by past travelers to guide those who follow. You pause for a moment and touch one of the stones. It feels cool, almost cold, and smooth from the hands of those who touched it before you. The sense of history is deep. The mountain pass feels ancient, even eternal. As you climb higher, the world becomes quieter. The wind is the only constant sound, moving gently across the cliffs and carrying with it the distant cry of an eagle circling above. The caravan stretches out along the trail, forming a slow-moving line of figures rising toward the sky. Before long, the path opens into a small plateau overlooking the valley below. The view is breathtaking. You can see the desert far behind you, its golden waves now soft and distant, blending with the hazy horizon. To the west, the oasis appears as a faint patch of green. To the east, the mountains rise in layered shades of blue and gray, like a great stone wall that touches the sky. The caravan pauses here briefly. Camels rest on the flat ground, lowering their bodies with a quiet sigh. Merchants drink water and adjust their scarves and belts. The wind whistles softly around the rocks, carrying the cool promise of what lies ahead. After a short rest, the caravan resumes its climb. The path grows narrower once again, hugging the side of a steep cliff. To the left is solid stone. To the right, a drop that seems to fall endlessly into the valley. Yet the camels move calmly. They know these paths well, guided by instinct and years of travel. Farther ahead, carved into the rock face, appears a small alcove. Inside it stands a worn carving of a guardian figure, a silent protector of travelers. Its features are softened by time, but its posture still feels watchful. Merchants stop briefly to leave small offerings: a pebble, a flower picked from a crack in the stone, a strip of cloth tied gently to a branch. These gestures are not tied to any one religion. They are simply acts of gratitude and hope, universal on the Silk Road. As the caravan climbs higher, the temperature continues to drop. The cool mountain air settles around you, brushing against your face and hands. The sun dips lower, casting warm orange light across the jagged stone peaks. Shadows deepen in the valleys below, creating a beautiful contrast of light and darkness. Ahead, the sound of running water reaches your ears, faint at first, then clearer. A narrow stream flows down the mountainside, its water sparkling in the last rays of sunlight. The caravan stops once more to refill waterskins. The cold water feels refreshing, crisp, and pure. A few merchants wash their faces, letting the chill wake their senses after the long climb. The leader of the caravan looks ahead toward the rising peaks. His eyes rest briefly on the highest point of the pass, now glowing with a halo of gold as the sun lowers behind it. "We will camp above," he says softly. The caravan follows him up one final incline until the trail opens into a wide ledge overlooking both the desert behind and the mountains ahead. This elevated place feels peaceful, almost sacred, touched by wind and light, shaped by centuries of travelers who paused here at the edge of two worlds. As evening approaches, the camels kneel, fires are lit, and tents are raised. The sky turns a deep shade of amber, then slowly fades into blue. Stars begin to appear, one by one, shimmering above the silent mountains. You sit on the edge of the ledge, watching the last light disappear behind the horizon. The Silk Road continues forward, now hidden in the deepening dusk, its ancient path waiting patiently for the next day's journey. Here, high in the mountain pass, the world feels vast and endless. A calm settles over everything, gentle and profound. The night on the Silk Road begins. Night settles gently over the mountain pass. The sky above is vast and clear, filled with stars that shimmer like grains of silver spilled across deep blue velvet. The fires of the caravan glow softly, their flames flickering in the cool mountain air. The wind carries the scent of smoke, warm tea, and the faint sweetness of dried herbs burned to keep insects away. The camels rest in a half-circle near the tents, their silhouettes dark against the dim glow of the sky. Some lie quietly on the ground, their long necks folded. Others stand still, blinking slowly, as if the silence itself has lulled them into peace. The mountain around you feels alive, yet perfectly calm, a guardian of travelers who find shelter in its ancient embrace. Merchants sit near the fire, sipping warm tea from clay cups. Their conversation is soft, almost whispered. No one speaks loudly in the mountains. The quiet here feels sacred. The leader of the caravan sits with them, his face lit by the golden glow of the flames. He looks thoughtful, watching the embers rise and swirl upward before disappearing into the night. You sit a short distance away, wrapped in a wool blanket. The warmth of the fire touches your hands and face, while the cold mountain air brushes your back. The contrast feels soothing. Above you, constellations known to travelers for centuries guide the movement of caravans. Some of these stars are used to measure direction, others to tell time, and some simply to remind travelers that they are never alone on this long road. A soft bell rings as one of the camels shifts in its sleep. The sound echoes gently along the stone cliffs and fades into the stillness. Nearby, a merchant hums a quiet tune, a melody his family has likely passed down through generations. It blends perfectly with the crackling of the fire and the whispering wind. Slowly, the camp grows quieter. One by one, fires dim until only glowing embers remain. The air grows colder, and a thin mist begins to gather at the edges of the cliffs. Wrapped in blankets, the merchants lie down to rest. Even the animals seem to understand the importance of conserving energy for the road ahead. As you close your eyes, the mountain night wraps around you like a protective cloak. The sounds are soft, distant, and comforting, the perfect lullaby for a traveler on the ancient Silk Road. When dawn comes, it arrives with pale blue light spreading over the peaks. The sun cresting the horizon paints the stone cliffs with shades of gold, rose, and amber. A soft breeze carries the cold air of the mountains and the promise of a new day. The camp awakens slowly. The fires are rekindled, glowing brighter than before. A pot of morning tea warms over the flames, releasing a fragrant blend of mint and mountain herbs. The merchants stretch, adjust their cloaks, and prepare their animals. Camels rise one by one, their long legs unfolding in slow, graceful motions. The leader lifts his hand, signaling the start of the descent. The caravan begins moving again, stepping carefully down the narrow trail along the mountainside. The path is steep in places, but the view is breathtaking. Below you stretches a broad valley filled with faint morning mist, rolling like a soft blanket between the hills. As you descend farther, the landscape begins to change. The cold mountain stones give way to loose soil and patches of hardy grass. Small shrubs appear along the slopes, their leaves trembling gently in the morning wind. Birds fly overhead, gliding effortlessly in the warming air. Eventually, the path widens and leads into a vast valley framed by distant hills. This land feels different, softer, greener, touched by the rivers and streams that flow from the mountains. The air is warmer here, carrying the scent of vegetation and distant settlements. You can see traces of human presence, narrow dirt paths, small cultivated plots, and low stone walls that mark the edges of farmland. A few shepherds guide their flocks across the valley, their figures dark against the light of the rising sun. As the caravan approaches the valley floor, the sound of running water grows stronger. A river winds through the plain, sparkling in the morning light. The merchants lead the camels toward the shallow edge. The animals drink deeply, and their reflections ripple across the surface. Nearby, a cluster of villagers dressed in simple robes watches the caravan with curiosity. They greet the merchants with friendly gestures, offering fresh fruits and water in exchange for stories from distant lands. The Silk Road has carried you out of the mountains and into a new world, one shaped by rivers, farms, and the promise of the great cities that lie farther east. The journey continues, opening into lands rich with life. Here, in the soft light of morning, the ancient road feels endless, and every step forward brings new stories waiting to unfold. As the caravan continues through the warm valley, the world around you grows richer and more alive. The mountains behind fade into a soft blue haze, and ahead, the land spreads into wide fields touched by flowing rivers. Farmers work among neat rows of grain and vegetables, and irrigation channels shimmer under the midday sun. Children pause their play to watch the long line of camels pass, waving shyly before running back toward the fields. The caravan moves calmly along the main path, greeted by villagers carrying baskets of fruit or jars of water. Their gestures are simple but sincere. For centuries, travelers have passed through these lands, and offering kindness to strangers has become part of the culture of the Silk Road. As the road curves around a gentle hill, the view opens wide, and a great trading city appears in the distance. Its high mud brick walls glow in the sun, dotted with tall watchtowers and narrow slit windows. Within the walls, you can see the tops of roofs, rising smoke, and colorful banners dancing above the streets. The city feels alive even from afar. The closer you approach, the clearer the details become. Long caravans from other lands gather outside the main gate. One from Persia, with deep blue fabrics wrapped tightly in bundles. Another from the east, carrying lacquered chests and porcelain jars. The air fills with the scent of warm bread, fresh fruit, incense, and spices carried lightly on the breeze. There is noise, but not chaos. Only the calm hum of a city that has lived through centuries of trade. Hooves, footsteps, quiet bargaining. The soft ring of metal from workshops. All blend into a steady rhythm. Approaching the gate, you see guards dressed in layered robes standing watch. Their faces are firm, but not unfriendly. They greet your caravan leader with a nod, a sign of recognition built through many journeys. The gate itself is carved with detailed patterns, swirling lines, protective symbols, and repeating geometric shapes. When it opens, the shaded coolness of the streets inside spills outward like a gentle wave. As you step into the city, the temperature drops. The narrow alleys offer relief from the sun, and fabric awnings shield the walkways. Merchants call softly from doorways, displaying pottery, metalwork, jewelry, spices, scrolls, and fabrics brought from distant regions. The caravan moves toward a wide square where a large fountain stands at its center. Water flows from carved stone spouts shaped like animals and mythical birds, filling the air with refreshing sounds. Travelers sit around the fountain, washing their hands, cooling their faces, or quietly sharing stories of their journeys. This square is a crossroads of cultures. Here you hear voices speaking Persian, Sogdian, Arabic, Chinese, and other languages you cannot recognize. Some merchants wear long embroidered robes, others simple tunics and belts. Children weave through the crowd carrying baskets of figs or small clay cups of sweet tea. The caravan leader guides everyone toward a large caravanserai inside the city walls. The building is grand and sturdy, made for travelers. Thick gates, inner courtyards, stables, storage rooms, and shaded resting areas. Inside, the air is cooler and calmer, carrying the familiar mix of dust, wool, spices, and warm stone. Camels kneel in a long line, relieved to rest after the journey. Merchants unload goods carefully, stacking bundles of silk, jars of spices, carved boxes, and cloth-wrapped items beside the storage rooms. A scribe sits at a low table, recording each item in a scroll, his brush moving slowly and precisely. You find a quiet corner near an arched opening that looks into the inner courtyard. Lanterns hang from wooden beams, swaying gently in the light breeze. Voices echo softly in the background. Discussions about tomorrow's market, plans for new trades, quiet laughter between travelers who have become friends. Outside, the city shifts into evening. The sun lowers, turning the walls and rooftops a warm shade of copper. Lanterns begin to glow along the streets, flickering softly between the shadows. The caravan leader approaches you with a reassuring smile. "Rest tonight," he says. "Tomorrow the great market opens, and the story of this city will unfold before us." As you sit in the quiet of the caravanserai, the sounds of the city become softer. The gentle ring of bells, distant voices, and the fading light of day. The journey has brought you far, and the Silk Road stretches onward, filled with places yet unseen. For now you breathe in the evening air, calm and peaceful. Another chapter of the ancient road awaits. Evening settles gently over the great trading city. The sun slips behind the horizon, leaving the walls glowing in soft amber light. Lanterns begin to appear one by one, in windows along rooftops, above narrow streets. Their warm glow spreads through the air like a quiet invitation, guiding travelers through the maze of alleys and squares. The heat of the day fades quickly, replaced by a pleasant coolness that makes the city feel calm and alive at the same time. The caravanserai becomes a resting place for animals and merchants, but the city itself is far from asleep. This is the hour when the famous night market opens, a tradition kept alive for generations. After a day of business and bargaining, the night market offers something different. Calm, beauty, and the gentle exchange of stories, not just goods. As you step through the archway into the streets, the air is filled with scents that drift softly on the breeze. Warm bread, honeyed pastries, saffron tea, roasted nuts, and sweet incense from distant lands. Voices mingle, but no one speaks loudly. The atmosphere is peaceful, as if the city knows that nighttime belongs to travelers seeking rest, not noise. Colorful lanterns hang from strings between the buildings, casting reflections on polished stones underfoot. The market stalls open slowly, revealing delicate fabrics folded with care, glass bottles filled with scented oils, baskets of dried fruit, decorated pottery, carved wooden ornaments, and small treasures carried across thousands of miles. A musician sits on a low stool near the entrance, playing a soft melody on a stringed instrument. The notes float gently through the air, blending perfectly with the sound of footsteps and quiet conversations. People pause now and then to listen before moving on with peaceful smiles. As you walk deeper into the market, an elderly woman gestures for you to come closer. Her stall is filled with silks from the east, each shimmering with subtle colors under the lantern light. She lifts one gently, letting it unfold in the breeze. The fabric feels almost weightless, smooth as water flowing between your fingers. Her voice is low as she explains where it was woven, who dyed it, and how long it traveled before reaching her hands. You listen, appreciating the calm, steady rhythm of her words. Nearby, a tea seller pours steaming liquid into small clay cups. The tea is spiced, slightly sweet, and warm enough to soothe your throat from the dry mountain air. Travelers gather around his table, speaking softly about their journeys, stories of storms in distant deserts, encounters with rare animals, long nights under stars, and friendships formed along the road. Farther ahead, a young craftsman shapes jewelry at his stall. He works with thin pieces of metal, bending them with careful precision. His tools tap lightly against the wood, creating a gentle rhythm. The jewelry he makes is simple but elegant. Tiny rings, delicate bracelets, and ornaments shaped like leaves and stars. Watching him work is strangely relaxing, as if every movement is part of a quiet ritual. You continue walking, exploring small side streets where lantern light becomes softer and shadows grow deeper. The city feels different here, more intimate, more ancient. You pass small courtyards where families sit together, enjoying the cool night air. Children chase each other between the doorways. A few merchants sit on rooftops drinking tea, their voices rising and falling like distant echoes. At the far end of the market, a storyteller gathers a small crowd. His voice carries warmth and calm as he tells a tale of a caravan that once lost its way in a winter storm, but was guided home by a star that refused to fade. The listeners sit quietly, drawn into the soft rhythm of his voice. It feels like a moment suspended in time, peaceful, slow, filled with wonder. Eventually, the market begins to wind down. Stalls close gently, lamps dim to a warm glow. The city grows quieter with each passing minute, as if preparing for its own rest. You walk back toward the caravanserai. The streets are nearly empty now, illuminated by the last lanterns burning softly in the night. Their warm light reflects off the stone walls and creates long, gentle shadows that sway with the breeze. Inside the caravanserai, most of the merchants are already asleep, wrapped in blankets or resting on soft mats. The camels are quiet, their breath rising in slow, steady waves. The courtyard feels calm, a sanctuary from the long day of travel. You sit once more in your quiet corner, listening to the faint sounds of the city outside. A door closing, a bell ringing softly, the whisper of wind moving across tiled roofs. The night on the Silk Road is peaceful, deep, and full of quiet magic. You breathe slowly, letting the calm settle around you. Tomorrow, the caravan will leave the great city and journey toward new lands. But for now, the world rests, and so do you. Morning arrives quietly in the great trading city. The lanterns have gone out, the night market has closed, and the first soft light slips between the narrow streets. Inside the caravanserai, merchants wake slowly, folding blankets, tightening ropes, and preparing for another day on the Silk Road. The courtyard is filled with gentle sounds, the brushing of cloth, the hiss of embers being stirred back to life, and the calm breathing of camels waiting patiently. The caravan leader moves through the courtyard, checking each pack and speaking softly to the handlers. Some merchants who arrived yesterday join the caravan today. Others remain behind to trade longer in the city. The Silk Road is always shifting. Travelers meet, share stories for a brief time, and then continue in different directions. Outside the gates, the city begins to stir. Bakers open their ovens, releasing warm air into the cool morning. Shopkeepers lift wooden shutters. A rooster calls somewhere deep in the alleys. The city that glowed under lantern light now wakes to its daily rhythm. When everything is ready, the caravan moves toward the gate. Camels rise slowly in a wave of soft movement. The leader raises his hand, and the merchants fall into their familiar places. You step through the gate into the cool morning air, pausing for a moment to look back at the city, a place that sheltered you, offered calm nights, and welcomed you with its peaceful glow. Ahead lies the Eastern Road. The land begins as farmland. Rows of grain stretch across the soil, shimmering in the morning sun. Irrigation channels glisten with running water. Farmers pause in their work to watch the caravan pass, offering smiles or small waves. Children run alongside for a short distance, laughing and shouting greetings before turning back to their homes. As the hours pass, the farmland thins. The road stretches into wide plains of grass and low shrubs. A gentle wind flows across the ground, carrying the scent of warm soil and distant trees. The caravan moves in a steady rhythm. The soft thump of hooves, the rustle of robes, the gentle ring of bells tied to the camels' harnesses. These sounds blend into a peaceful harmony, almost like a song carried by the wind. Near midday, the caravan meets another group traveling west. Their goods are lighter. Most have already been traded. Both caravans stop beneath a small cluster of trees offering shade. The travelers exchange greetings, water, and simple gifts. A woman from the west offers dried plums in return for a handful of almonds. A man describes a river crossing farther ahead and warns of a storm that passed through days earlier. Information is shared not as a transaction, but as an act of kindness. After the exchange, both caravans bow lightly and continue on their separate paths, one west, one east. The land changes again as afternoon arrives. The plains rise into low, gentle hills covered in tall golden grass. The wind ripples through them, creating soft waves that shimmer under the sunlight. A herd of wild horses grazes in the distance. They lift their heads to watch the caravan, their silhouettes outlined against the bright sky before returning to their calm feeding. The path climbs a small ridge and reveals a vast view, endless plains stretching toward a hazy horizon, touched by faint colors of distant forests and rivers. The air is cooler here, with a soft breeze brushing your face. By late afternoon, the sky turns warmer. Shades of amber and soft rose. Shadows lengthen. The caravan slows as the leader chooses a place for camp, a cluster of flat stones surrounded by golden grass. This natural resting place has likely sheltered many travelers before you. Merchants gather wood for a small fire. Camels kneel in a wide circle, grateful for rest. Some travelers pitch simple tents, while others place blankets near the fire pit. The smell of warm bread, dried fruit, and herbal tea spreads through the air. As the sun lowers, the sky shifts through colors: orange, lavender, and deep blue. The warmth of the day fades, replaced by a gentle coolness. The plains grow quiet, except for the soft rustling of grass and the murmured conversations of travelers sharing stories of earlier journeys. Night settles slowly. Stars appear one by one, bright against the vast sky. The fire glows softly, casting shadows that sway with the wind. The plains stretch into darkness in every direction, peaceful and endless. You sit by the fire, wrapped in a blanket, listening to the quiet. The Silk Road feels wide and eternal, a path leading to lands still unknown. Tomorrow, the caravan will continue east, toward new stories and new landscapes. But tonight, all is calm. All is still. And the ancient road rests beneath the stars. Night settles fully over the plains, bringing with it a deep and peaceful stillness. The fire has burned down to a warm circle of glowing embers, soft and steady. Around it, the caravan sleeps. Some merchants lie wrapped in blankets. Others rest with their backs against their packs, their silhouettes rising gently with each breath. The camels stand quiet in the tall grass, their bodies blending with the darkness, their long shadows swaying lightly with the wind. Above you, the sky stretches endlessly, a vast ocean of stars, brighter here than anywhere else on the Silk Road. The mountains are far behind, the great city now only a memory, and the world feels open and infinite. The stars form patterns familiar to travelers, constellations used to guide journeys, mark seasons, and remind wanderers that they are part of a story much larger than their own. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of dry grass and warm earth. The breeze moves slowly, brushing across your face, shifting strands of hair, and whispering through the plains with a soft, soothing sound. It is a quiet rhythm, like the deep breath of the world itself. You sit near the embers, letting the warmth touch your hands. A few sparks glow, rise gently, and disappear into the night, joining the stars above. The last voices of the caravan have faded, leaving only the peaceful sounds of nature. The soft click of insects hidden among the grass, the distant call of a bird settling into its nest, and the slow, steady breathing of resting animals. As you sit there, you reflect on the journey that has led you here. The quiet desert dawn, the oasis town, the climb through the mountains, the vibrant trading city, and the long, open plains. Each place held its own history and its own gentle magic. Now, here in the quiet of night, it all feels like a single flowing story, woven together by the ancient road. You lie back onto a blanket, feeling the cool ground beneath you. From this angle, the stars seem even closer, bright, steady, and countless. They shimmer faintly, pulsing like distant lanterns hung across the sky. The world grows softer, quieter, as if everything around you is preparing for rest. The breeze slows. The grass becomes still. Even the embers gently dim. In the distance, you hear a soft jingle, a camel shifting in its sleep, the small bell on its harness ringing once, then fading into silence. The sound passes like a memory drifting across the plains. You breathe slowly, deeply, each breath becoming softer than the last. The warmth of your blanket and the coolness of the night air balance perfectly, creating a gentle comfort that settles through your entire body. The Silk Road at night feels timeless, safe, endless. You close your eyes, feeling the world around you fade into a soft blur of warmth and quiet. The final sounds, wind, breath, distant plains, blend together into a calm, soothing harmony. This is the final resting place of today's journey, a peaceful moment at the edge of the ancient world. Tomorrow the caravan will rise again, continuing toward new horizons. But for now, you rest beneath the stars, embraced by the gentle stillness of the Silk Road. And sleep comes quietly.